Alright, so some 3D updates. First of all, in a past update I mentioned the ZTE Voyage, and this is apparently not with a 3D camera, but with a 3D screen and 3D apps for a Chinese streaming service. It's really nothing to get excited about, but I did theorize that perhaps it was using a Leia screen for a few reasons. One was that this is ZTE, who partnered with Leia for the international version of the LoomPad 2. They're also using a very similar art of an astronaut, and GSM Arena, which lists the specs for all kinds of devices, lists it as a light field display. But regardless, some other people are saying it's not a Leia screen, even that it doesn't look that good. So I don't know what to think, but one thing is for sure, that it doesn't seem anything to write home about, and there are lots of better options. Now, switching to monitors, we've talked about Proma lots in the past. They're another small company that makes glasses-free devices. Now, they have a bunch of screens at this point listed on their website, and it can be kind of confusing, and it can be hard to differentiate what's the pros and cons. Well, anyway, a new screen was released, a 32-inch monitor. It's just listed as new 3D design, new 3D materials, new 3D technology, the best, well, it's literally the ever best, quote, 3D pop-out, the real 3D home theater. I'm just reading it how it's written. Purest, I guess, crystal clear spatial depth, and 2160p 4K resolution. And I asked the owner of this business, I forget his name now, but he's on Twitter, he's active in the 3D community and groups. I asked him specifically about what the resolution is in 3D mode. And he was very specific that the resolution would be exactly half of 4K. So I was suspicious, but he said it's would be 1920 by 2160. And it's really hard to get any type of objective third-party reviews of these things. Rarely see it that type of thing show up on YouTube. And yet the website also is showing sales numbers for the products. Not just the lower end ones, like the passive 3D TV he just came out with that uses an old stock screen for $2,400. It says 135 of those sold. But even the high-end stuff, like the $27,000 98-inch glasses-free screen, it says 5 of those sold. It said 9 of the $14,000 86-inch glasses-free screens sold. It even says over 9,000 of their 2024, the latest glasses-free tablets sold. Maybe a lot of people are interested in 3D in China. I don't know. Maybe that's where most of the sales are. I really don't know. And even the glasses-free screen cover for the iPhone 15. Proma is selling that as well. And it says over 23,000 of them have sold. So, if those numbers are to be believed, that's quite a lot. 3D is making progress in the mainstream, as we know with Apple, with the iPhone, but also Samsung, they're also releasing a 3D glasses-free monitor. Who would have guessed that? It's going to be called the Odyssey, and it's going to come in a 27-inch screen size or 32-inch screen size. No word yet on how expensive it will be. Another thing of interest to 3D fans might be that Jaws 3, aka Jaws 3D, not the conversion of the original, but the one that was filmed in 3D, was recently released on Ultra HD Blu-ray. Repackages the 3D Blu-ray, of course, as a extra that's of little note. And instead of going to the trouble of fixing the alignment issues or the vertical parallax issues that never would have happened if 3D Film Archive had handled the restoration, but instead of doing that, they opted to make a 2D 4K version, which is just silly because Jaws 3D was filmed with a 3D lens attachment that reduced the light, the clarity, had introduced chromatic aberration. So it just did not look anywhere near as good as a movie that was normally recorded on film without that adapter in front. So what did they do? They AI upscaled it. Because they know completionists who want every 4K in the series to match on their shelf will buy it regardless and then complain after. And there are a number of complaints online. Like, I mean, AI can look okay in some shots, but in others, like smaller details in the background, it doesn't know exactly how humans should look, and it just creates some bizarre details in the background faces of crowds, especially. I mean, like real horror movie stuff. Now, if you ever got my Blu-ray of Catwoman of the Moon from VarietyFilms.net, you might remember that it mentions, quote, tasteful AI upscale. Now, when I said that on the packaging, that's not just a flowery language or marketing speak, that's literal. For instance, the only surviving copy up to this point, who knows, maybe a film copy will be recovered and able to be released at some point, but currently this is all there is. The copy came from field sequential analog videotape recordings. So the AI upscale was used to smooth over the jagged pixels as well as compression artifacts from further copying, and to just give general smoother appearance with cleaner edges that would work better in 3D. So that's what was meant by tasteful upscale, not adding to it. For instance, there is a version of Catwoman online at this point that used AI in a non-tasteful way. You can find that on YouTube, where AI selected visually similar images and like literally pasted approximations of eyes and facial elements on these people's faces, and they don't even match in 3D. So besides just looking nothing like the original and just completely bizarre, it doesn't match in 3D between your eyes anyway. But regardless, if you get that, the 3D Blu-ray will be untouched, as most 3D releases are nowadays anyway. They just recopy the old one and don't bother. Hopefully, if they ever do in the future, though, the one thing they should do is fix that vertical parallax and other errors. It's very simple to do, but it makes all the difference. Another story of note is that not too long ago, we found out about Disney Movie Club shutting down, but it was just announced that their other program, Disney, formerly called Disney Movie Rewards, now called Insiders, that's shutting down as well this year. So if you have any points, you'll want to use them up while you can. They do have some 3D Blu-rays available if there's any titles that you don't have, so you can check out what they have to offer. So what's coming up next? Well, this month, September, iPhone is expected to release the next one in the series, iPhone 16. Some pictures have been seen. We've talked about it before, how they're all going to have optimum camera placement for spatial video, even the basic models. No only diagonal lenses anymore. They'll have all available for side-by-side recording. Plus, we heard about the higher megapixels in the wide-angle lens, which will help greatly with the resolution, which is a problem now in one eye. Although, maybe not help with the inconsistency with depth of field. The biggest news, in my opinion, is the Acer Spatial Labs camera. Spatial Labs Eyes. That's the big one to look for. It's always great to keep up with new 3D products, and they're definitely of interest. Like there's been the X-Real Beam Pro camera, but a lot of them are just more of the same. This one is different. The one from Acer is the first consumer 4K 3D camera, video camera. Identical lenses, wide lens spacing. This one looks really promising, including the test photos and videos, but we won't really know the full story until we do a real test. And Acer also released a YouTube video promoting it. And one thing that we get to see in that video is something I had questioned last time. I didn't know what it was meant by it exactly. It said a selfie mirror, and this is basically just that circle in the front pops up, flips around to see yourself. However, that brings up what any person who's familiar with 3D would know, that that could be a problem, being so close to such wide set lenses, resulting in depth that might be just too big to resolve in your eyes, in your brain. And someone who's new to 3D won't know how to watch out for that or what rules to follow. And in the video, they show examples of it being used to stream like business meetings or whatever, and that camera is like right up directly in front of the person, right up directly in front of the model, like less than a foot. So not sure how that's going to work out. And the funny thing is that this is designed to be used with their glasses-free ecosystem. Now, if it was promoting VR usage, that could be way more forgiving. But for glasses-free 3D, which is probably the worst offender when it comes to ghosting, this might not be such a good thing. Might have a lot of people thinking, oh, 3D's bad just because they filmed badly, and then it shows up with major ghosting on their display. But as we know, you don't need their glasses-free display, and the specs coming from this camera will arguably look the best on decade-old TVs, like my Samsung 4K 3D TV that I've got here and use as my monitor. But yeah, we'll get into that at another time, and also the X-Real Beam Pro, we'll get into that too. But until next time, before we go, just wanted to show you a little something I came across. We reviewed this before. This was an old 3D webcam. You can look up that review with some test footage from it. Still use it for when I do Zoom sometimes, because I have a desktop computer, so I need a webcam at some point. But I had saved this package, forgot about it, just came across it, so just wanted to show that to you to check out before I toss it, because you can't keep every junk forever. There's a nice dated picture, but very cool back in the day, I'm sure. Alright, see ya.